Excellent.
We are live. Hey everybody, welcome to Disc Golf Examiner. We're live tonight. Brian's here as well. Hey Brian.
Hey guys.
We're sitting here tonight with Pete from DiscGolfScene.com. Many of you are familiar with this website. We'll get into what it does and what it's great for organizing local things in your community. A lot of you are new to disc golf. A lot of our fans are just getting involved in the sport. They're passionate about the sport. They love playing, and they're consuming more information. You want to know more. So Pete, welcome to the show tonight.
Thanks. What's up, Internet?
Interwebs. We're really glad you could join us. We really didn't know, even when I was talking back and forth with you, I wasn't 100% familiar with you. And we're going to get into your story. It's pretty incredible. But one of the things we always do on the show is we start at the beginning. We were curious of, how did you get involved in disc golf, and do you remember the first time you went out?
I don't know if I remember the first time I went out, but I remember that it was 2001. And I think I had some buddies that were disc golfers that got their start at Hudson Mills in Dexter, Michigan. And I was hanging out with them. We went out to the high school football field, and they were just showing me the discs that they had. So I started chucking a few sidearm. And then within that year, I must have played 100 rounds.
Wow. So you must have a lot of courses in your area, or do you go to one in particular?
Yeah, in Michigan. So Michigan's a pretty big disc golf area. I grew up in Dexter, like I said, and so we have Hudson Mills there, which has two pretty well-known courses, 24 holes apiece. They did Worlds there, I think, in 2000. They have pretty, for like maybe an A tier or two there every year. Definitely some B tiers. And we got Independence Lake in the area is a good course, and a whole bunch of other stuff, especially up north. So like Pro Master Worlds was in Grand Rapids this year, which is just a couple hours west. Worlds has been in Kalamazoo, I think, recently in the last couple of years. So there's a lot of disc golf happening in Michigan. It's kind of hard to get away from if you go to parks at all.
That must be pretty nice to be in that type of community, and a real nice place to grow from there. So where did that, you started playing? You said you played about 100 rounds in a year. How does that, how did you take that and turn it into disc golf scene? What's the step in between?
Oh, well, I guess it took a little while. So we did that for, the first year. That was basically my senior year of high school. So we'd go out every day after school pretty much and play. Within the next couple of years after graduating, I hung around Dexter and got involved with our local club, which was called the Local 101 Disc Golf Players Union. So there were like some guys that were just kind of trying to do a grassroots effort to run some small events in the area, and they ended up getting kind of big, I think, events-wise. But they just had a website, it's in probably 2005, 2006, and just a simple website that they're updating themselves, HTML basic stuff, where they had a little course directory with pictures they took of Hudson Mills and the local courses that they were building, and a little bit of info on their events. So being a budding web developer, I just said, hey, I'll build you guys a club site just to make it a little easier on you. So I did that, kind of reproduced the functionality. They had a little course directory, a little tournaments directory, a way for them to upload pictures and scores. And then once that was done, I thought, well, let's just do this in sort of a generic way. Facebook was just starting to get big about 2006 or 2007. So I said, let me just see if I can do this and make a website for every club so they can just go on, register a club, and then have their own course directory and tournaments directory and whatnot. So that's ended up being 2007 I started working on it, and then launched somewhere in the summer of 2008. Then DiscGolfScene.com was online, never to go back to the old days.
Do you remember, for that first year, the first couple months, how many clubs were participating at that time?
A handful. So we had the Local 101, of course, and then it was a little bit slow to get started. I had this idea that people would get on there and start making up fake clubs and stuff. So there was kind of like a wall to get in. You had to be verified as a club. So I had to send you an invitation link to join. And it turns out that's not in the early days of the internet, that wasn't really a good way to get a service going by invitation. So it ended up just being opened up to everybody else, but it would slowly start trickling in, and took a few years to get some decent traffic, but we kept it online, and eventually the people found it.
What were some of the early features that first version had? Did you mentioned you could register a club and...
Yeah, register a club. I think you could upload your club logo. You could put your tournament on there. You could put like the schedule for the tournament. You could add the flyer, and there are leagues. There's a leagues directory and a course directory, and all of them had the option to comment, so you could put comments on there. And that was, I guess, you can send private messages and upload your own avatar. I think that's about where we were at. I let people upload pictures of courses, but unfortunately I didn't set it up as like, if I could go back and redo the course directory, I would have done it in some kind of wiki format where people could submit updates and manage it themselves and have moderators and stuff. And you can sort of do that now, but maintaining a course directory is kind of a job in itself, and it'd be nice to be able to crowdsource that. But in a very simple way, we had most of that stuff online the first year.
Oh wow! How many members are you at now, and how many tournaments have been registered through discgolfscene.com?
Members were doing pretty well. I think it says we got 86,000, and probably I would guess about 78,000 of those are legit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not that or like are being used by somebody. Like there's no, if we see a bot or something, we kill it. But there's a few that are inactive. Tournament wise, we have a bunch of tournaments. So we passed 15,000 at some point this year, and we just in the past week set up our 10,000th tournament with online registration.
Oh wow!
So
wow. That's a land.
Yeah, so
that's
we're
really nice.
We're slowly getting there. It seems like we're doing more and more, growing pretty well. But yeah, we just passed the 10,000 mark, so that's pretty cool.
Well, take us through that process. What if somebody wants to create a tournament or an event in their area? It's a great platform to do that and to organize everything. What can they do on your site to get that process started?
Sure. Well, typically what people start with is just if they want to host a tournament. A lot of times there will be companies like MVP or Trilogy, or Vibram used to do a thing, or Discraft the Ace Race, and they kind of set up these tournaments as a casual, fun way to get into disc golf. They're not super competitive, but they provide decent player packs and an experience for the players that are just getting into disc golf. So a lot of times those companies will point. Like we partnered with them before, and we'll point them to a specific registration page for those events. But typically, if you get on discgolfscene.com and you click on tournaments, you'll see an option to post a new tournament. And we just ask a few things like, what's the name of the tournament, when's it happening, how long is it, what's the format. If you want to do online registration, you can. It's optional. You just give us a PayPal account, email address, and you can set up just the basic things right off the bat. Then it will show up in our directory under whichever state you registered in or whichever country, and allows players to find it and talk to you immediately in the comments section. So we try to make it pretty easy to just get up and running with a one-page registration form. And then once you've completed that first registration page, then you can get into more details. Like you can add your flyer, you can add more info about your tournament, your schedule, a whole bunch of online registration details and stuff that you can add. But it's pretty quick to get started with a basic tournament.
And are there, you mentioned a basic tournament, are there other features or are there paid options? How does it work as far as costs go for somebody setting up a tournament?
Sure. So everything is free. There's no cost to use any of the services on the site. The only time we charge money is when a player registers for an event and the event charges money. Then we have a handling fee that we take. It's $1.34 that goes straight to Disc Golf Scene, doesn't go through the tournament at all, and the tournament gets paid directly to their PayPal account. But to use it, if you're not doing online registration, then you won't pay anything. You can use all the features. You can even manage your registration on Disc Golf Scene. You can just add all the players that register in person or however you want, and then you can use our tournament features like We have scorecards that are printable. We have player cards that are printable for the day of the event. We have ways to email all the registrants that are signed up for your tournament, and a whole bunch of other stuff, really.
It's pretty amazing. It's really reasonable, too, for the amount of management that it does for the director, the tournament director.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's the kind of thing that it's nice to be able to be in contact with the TDs directly, so get that direct feedback from the people that are running the tournaments and get an idea of what they want out of the service, which has been a really nice thing. It's kind of uncommon when you're doing software engineering to be able to be that close to the customers, but it's been really nice to get that direct feedback.
What's one of the largest tournaments you've ever had registered on the site?
I think the biggest one might be, I have to look this up. I think this year's Blast Blown Open is over. Yeah, there's 1,427 people registered for that.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think about 1,100 of them registered in the first 5 minutes. So it was a bit of a bum rush to get in the door. It's been an interesting issue to deal with. Glass Blown Open, Ledgestone has been pretty high traffic. M Worlds has been pretty high traffic historically. So that's been kind of a cool.
Have you had any growing pains with the growth of the sport? Are you able to keep up? Is the website able to keep up with that kind of volume?
We are. You know, it seems like the last couple of years we would always be surprised by something. We've had two cases where where the website was slow enough that when divisions filled up, we weren't assigning waitlist numbers properly. And we only had one crash so far in existence, which was, I think, 2016 AM Worlds. So it was just everybody, you know, I think there was 5,000 invitations and something like 600 spots. So all 1,000 people trying to sign up, click the button at once, and the site just went boom like that. Which was kind of great. Like, I was actually relieved when I realized that it crashed immediately. So like nobody got in.
Yeah.
It wasn't like some people and close to Michigan got in or whatever, and some people didn't. Just nobody got in. So I spent the week scrambling trying to set up a new server to open up the following week. But since then, we've drastically improved the infrastructure, and we have a lot better and scalable services. So like when there's a big tournament now, I'm usually online watching and making sure that everything works okay with what we have, and I'm ready to scale up if we need to. But typically we've been just fine, pretty reliable, pretty sturdy for the past year or so.
Yeah, I actually was one of the people clicking on the button at the stroke of midnight for a certain event this past year. Mm-hmm. It's really convenient the way your website works. It's really set up. It's very intuitive. We use it for a lot of things in our area. We use it for tournaments. We also use it for leagues, and we take care of total points as far as our putting league goes. We are able to track our scores every week, and it's very convenient for those factors. How long did it take you to come up with this setup? It seems like it's working very well for you. There had to have been some things.
Sure. Yeah. It's like I said, it's grown sort of organically as we get feedback from folks. The basic structure has sort of stayed the same. And if you look at the site, I think it's probably pretty clear that we've prioritized usability over beauty. It's like it works fine. It looks okay. It's not, but we mostly focus on making it clear and simple for people to do what they need to do, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And allow the way we do that is just by listening to the feedback. And if something is awkward or people aren't using a particular feature, then we try to figure out what exactly is going on with it. But the main thing is just to make it easy and straightforward, which can be pretty tough now, especially with the tournaments. We've added so many new options over the years that the menu on the left of things that you can do, your toolbox is getting longer and longer. Yeah. So that every once in a while we sort of take a look at the thing as a whole and just see if there's some way we can simplify without, we want to make sure that the TDs that are kind of pro users that have been using it for a while and are familiar with where everything is, we don't want to ignore them and their needs and their abilities with the website. But it's just like been an organic thing that we're building based on feedback. Hopefully doing well.
Yeah, I have not had a problem, to be honest with you. And I did notice whenever I signed up, it does link to your PDGA account to draw information from. Is that correct?
So we don't, to clarify, so we don't draw any information from your PDGA account necessarily. We allow you to put your PDGA number in there, and then we verify it on the back end.
That's what it is.
Once it's verified, if someone just has to post your PDGA number with along with a league or a tournament result, and then it will link to your profile.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's how you get stuff like we have this little thing called achievements, where if you win a tournament or you come in the top 3 or you cash or you shoot a hot round or something, we give you these little medals on your profile. And one of the ways that we know who you are is by linking to your PDGA number.
Yeah. And we also run our bag tag league through.
Sure, yeah.
There's so many different things that you can do with your site. I'm really, every time I look on it, there's something else I'm discovering. So it's one of those. It's very immersive.
Good, glad to hear it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and the more stuff we get, the harder it is to make sure that we're not neglecting anything. Mm-hmm. So every once in a while, somebody will email me, and I'll be like, "Wow, I haven't touched that stuff in years." But as long as it's still basically working, then it'll be okay.
And there's other ways for people to share, not just scores, but I do notice there's a videos and a trading post. How did those get added?
Sure. So videos was kind of we just wanted a way originally to link to YouTube videos, and then we also had previously provided a way for people to just upload their videos directly to Disc Golf Scenes account. We removed that a while ago because it was a bit of a hassle and it was kind of slow. But really what we do now is the videos I feel are used for posting course videos or tournament videos, so you can post a video that's on YouTube and then link it to a specific tournament page or a specific course or league page, which is great, if somebody's going to like Hudson Mills or whatever, and they click on videos and just see what videos are available. Are there any videos on Hudson Mills page right now? Yeah, 13 of them.
Okay.
So they just have, we have some old tournament videos, we have some league videos, and just stuff for people to explore that's related to the content they're interested in. In tournaments, like bigger tournaments now, we'll have a promo video, and they can just link that right on their tournament page.
Oh, it's really nice.
The trading post is just kind of was chatting with a buddy, and he pointed out some forums that had like a marketplace type of thing. And I said, sure, well, we can do that. Why not? So we just, ran it up there and got it running. And it gets a little bit of traffic. It's probably it's sort of like the redheaded stepchild of the site. I feel like it's just it's like on the end there, doing its thing, but it's not about disc golf organization per se. So as long as people are continuing to use it, I don't see a need to get rid of it, but it may be one of those things that will eventually sunset when it's run its course. Because there's I'm sure there's other things now. There's other websites or like subreddits that are built for exchanging discs and have a more robust system, or at least a more active system. So that may be something where we let somebody else take care of that eventually.
Actually, we have Derek Savory submitting a question to us here. He's saying, what is one of the challenges that you faced with the site that you did not anticipate?
Sure. Well, one of the things that I've noticed that's funny is I've been surprised by how angry people have gotten over something that's free before. It doesn't happen a lot, but every once in a while you get an angry email about somebody not being able to log into their account or something, and I get it. Everybody's got bad days, but it's always kind of funny.
That's with everything, though. Trust me. I've definitely been on the one end of that, the pointed end of that. But yeah, I mean, no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody like that.
Right, right. As soon as you're on the internet, somebody's going to be saying something. But it's for the most part, it's been super positive, and it's been a great experience. The things that probably caught me the most by surprise is just the rush to register that's happened in the last couple of years. A few years ago, the Memorial Tournament filled up in 10 minutes or something, and a whole bunch of touring pros, like 1,000 rated guys, weren't able to get in. And there was, I remember, sort of a big controversy and all sorts of Facebook posts about how it's ridiculous that Joe Schmo rated 900 gets to play, and Ken Kleinwell can't register for the event. So that's been kind of what's sort of a surprise in the last couple of years. I mean, it hasn't been an issue before, tournaments filling up that fast, like maybe in a day or something, but tournaments filling up within 5 minutes has been a new thing, and it's been a challenge, scalability wise, but also managing expectations and trying to, usually when there's a big tournament, 1,000 people trying to get in 500 spots, there are 500 of them that are not going to make it in. They're going to get to the wait list, and then explaining to them why, or trying to explain to them why they got on the wait list, even though they were ready to register right at midnight or 8 p.m. or whenever it opened, has been a little bit of a challenge. But I think people are starting to understand that that's sort of the way things work now with popular tournaments. And then, of course, the PDGA and other tournaments are figuring out how to mitigate that by doing the tiered registration thing, where you have to have a minimum rating to register at this point, and then a week later, people with a lower rating can register, and so on and so on. So probably just the most surprising thing is the amazing popularity and growth of disc golf, which is great, but it's also a little tricky.
Yeah, for sure. It just seems like in the past, how long would you say it's been exploding like this? Disc golf scene really started gaining ground when we partnered with the PDGA in 2012, I think. We started slowly ramping up, and then since then we've seen some pretty good growth. So it seems about the last 5 years. And in the last year or so, year and a half, I think, since I've started working for the PDGA, I have been following the industry a little more closely. Before then, I wasn't following it as closely, but I think it's just there's a lot of new companies or companies that are becoming more established and a lot of new technology, which is great. So I think it seems like the last 5 or so years have been disc golf's really been speeding up, and then disc golf scene was kind of just along for the ride.
So you mentioned the last 5 years. What are we looking forward to in the next 5 years? Where do you see new features? What about, with the rise of everyone has a mobile phone? Is there anything on that front coming in this way?
Absolutely, yeah. So people ask about the app all the time. We're doing a mobile app, and it's totally on the roadmap what we're trying to do. There's just some stuff that's got to come first, but certainly we understand that most of the folks, a good bit, if not the majority of folks, access disc golf scene from their phones or tablets. So we're definitely going to focus on that. A lot what we're doing now, and I didn't mention this before, but the PDGA actually owns Disc Golf Scene now. So I'm working with them, and we're working more closely with them. So what we're trying to do is make it a lot easier to organize disc golf. So we're building these tools, improving tools that exist already for folks to be able to run tournaments. Because we know being a TD or a league coordinator is most of the time a pretty thankless job. People really only notice if something goes wrong, and then you kind of get the short end of the stick. So what we want to do is all the stuff that we can do for TDs and league coordinators. We want to take that stuff out of their hands and automate it so that they can do the stuff that the computers can't do, which is boots on the ground, be there to in person organize the event and make sure everything's okay. So really our goal here is just to help improve organized disc golf and make it so that I want it to be a pleasure, like a joy, to be able to run a tournament and just do it, click a few buttons and set everything up, and then take care of everything, and then just show up on the day of the tournament and have a good time. That would be my ideal. So for the next 5 years, we'll be working towards that.
Nice. Yeah, take a lot out of the hands. If somebody can handle their registration, you can focus on making the course at 100% and everything.
Sure.
You can focus on the other little details that probably need more attention, especially if something can handle all those registrations for you.
Absolutely, and stuff like our player cards has been a really popular feature, and TDs used to, they'd get their player cards printed blanks, and then they'd have some themselves or somebody like writing out everybody's name and division and PDGA number and stuff and all these things, and now you can download a PDF with everybody that's registered for the tournament, all their information printed out, cut a piece of paper twice, and then you got all your player cards and that sort of thing. Those sort of easy wins where we can just handle that grunt work for the TDs makes it hopefully a lot easier for the TDs. At least that's what they tell me.
Excellent.
Yeah, and like we were saying, there's just so much you can do on your site. It seems like the possibilities are kind of endless there for you. Is there anything that anything experimental, anything that on newer on the site that we can take a look at?
I think most of the stuff that we're doing right now, development-wise, has gone towards tournament organization. So if you're not a TD, there won't be that stuff, or there won't be much to see new, at least in the short term. The TDs that are running PDGA sanctioned events are going to be seeing some pretty cool stuff soon. More in line with what I've been talking about as far as making things easier and getting rid of a lot of the groundwork of running tournaments and leagues.
You mentioned you kind of changed hats a little bit, and you're working with the PDGA. What's your primary role there? Is it to keep and update and maintain Disc Golf Scene?
Well, the Disc Golf Scene is a one-man wolf pack, so that's just me doing all the stuff that needs to be done, and I sort of split my time between Disc Golf Scene and the PDGA, and part of that is working on integration between the two systems so they can talk to each other and make things smooth in terms of setting up and running the event. And then I'm doing a lot of stuff with the PDGA's systems where they have some older kind of legacy stuff, some processes that are a little bit cumbersome, and I'm just working on improving those processes and making it a lot easier to get through. So like, submitting a TD report, for example, is something that's going to be a lot faster. Working on ratings updates, making those move a little faster too. So just trying to get to Century 21,
Yeah. So we're going to see a lot. I'm going to guess a lot of really cool things coming out with that integration and tightening up things between the Disc Golf Scene and the PDGA sites and all that data back and forth. I think you can get pretty crazy in the next couple of years with what you can launch and release.
Right, yeah. So I think it's going to be really cool. And PDGA is partnering with UDisc for the National Tour and World Championships this year. So we're going to be working with those guys and all the cool stuff they're doing with stats and scorekeeping.
Excellent.
We're pretty excited about that.
Well, I'm actually looking here on the site. I'm looking at my inbox. You're the first person to ever send me a message on Disc Golf Scene. How crazy!
I wrote that by hand. I wrote that message by hand. It's just specifically tailored to you, Brian.
Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Yeah, very friendly. It's anytime you sign up for Disc Golf Scene, guys, you get a message from Pete here welcoming you. So it's just a lot of different. Really cool.
I learned that trick from MySpace, I think.
Right, so. Yeah.
The MySpace Tom of disc golf.
It's basically, I don't send the automatic friend request anymore, but I do still send that message.
Well, Pete, is there anything else you want to talk about, plug, or just let people out there know? I'm excited to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm really happy that people are using and enjoying Disc Golf Scene, and always happy to hear from people that have ideas or want to talk about the site. There's a feedback link at the bottom of every page that you can use to get in touch with me. And of course, working for the PDGA, happy to hear thoughts from people and their feedback on the PDGA and everything else. Great. And that's about it. Looking forward to the next year. Excellent. Well, yeah. Pete, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's discgolfscene.com. You can check it out, register, look at some of the events out there, find an event in your area, get involved and participate locally, and just check it out, discgolfscene.com. Great site, great resource for disc golf, and certainly for your local community. Anything else, Brian? You want to send it home?
No, I just want to thank Pete once again. It's so great that you made yourself accessible for us. So I just wanted to thank you again.
Yeah, sure.
And guys, until tomorrow, because we're going to come back with an interview tomorrow. Keep banging those chains.